So let's talk about software testing, and more specifically, why sometimes the absolute best way to find a critical show-stopping bug is to just throw the rulebook completely out the window.
You've been there, right? It's a question we've all asked. You're using an app, it feels slick, it feels polished, and then, out of nowhere, it just freezes up or crashes. And you have to wonder, with all the planning and testing that goes into this stuff, how does that still happen?
And there it is. That's our answer. It's us. It's the beautifully unpredictable, sometimes totally illogical, and wonderfully chaotic way that we humans interact with technology. No script, no matter how perfectly written, can ever really account for pure, unfiltered human randomness. You see, most software testing follows a very strict script. It's all designed to confirm that the software works exactly as expected. But the biggest flaw in that perfect plan is its own blind spot. It almost never accounts for all the things the developers didn't expect.
And this is where our hero, ad hoc testing, steps onto the scene. It is the complete opposite of a rigid plan. It's a method that doesn't just put up with chaos, it absolutely thrives in it. So what is it, really? Well, think of ad hoc testing as pure improvisation. There are no scripts, no test cases, no step-by-step instructions. It's just a tester, their knowledge of the system, and one simple goal: try to break it. And they do that using their intuition, their experience, and a really healthy dose of creativity. It's less of a process and way more of a mindset.
And the difference here is everything. On one side, you have that scripted testing, that's the rule book. It's predictable, and it's great for finding the bugs you were already looking for. But on the other side, ad hoc testing, that's like a blank page. It's all about random actions, trusting your gut, and its superpower is finding those critical, unexpected bugs that nobody saw coming. Okay, so that's the theory. But let's see this thing in practice. We're going to open up a few case files where this kind of out-of-the-box thinking uncovered some really serious issues that a normal script would have just flown right past. First up, the humble login page. We've all used thousands of them. It seems so simple, right? Username, password, click login. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? Well, an ad hoc tester isn't thinking like a normal user. Instead of putting in a regular username, they type in a bunch of special characters. Then, for the password, they just paste in this massive wall of text, way longer than anyone would ever actually use. They're not trying to follow the rules. They're pushing the boundaries to see what happens. And boom! The result isn't just an error message. The entire system just hangs, a complete and total crash, found not by some complicated test, but by a simple, random, and pretty illogical input. This shows you the power of this method right here. Okay, let's move on to our next case. We're in an e-commerce app now. A scripted test might check if you can add an item to your cart and check out. Simple enough. But a real person, we're often way more indecisive than that. So our tester starts to mimic this exact behavior. They add a few things, then they change their mind and remove something. Then, in a moment of pure impatience, they just start hammering that checkout button over and over and over again. And the outcome? The payment page completely freezes. The app just can't handle all those rapid-fire conflicting commands. It probably creates what's called a race condition, where everything gets tangled up. This is a classic bug that a straight-line, step-by-step test would almost always miss, but it's exactly what an impatient customer might actually do. For our final case file, let's take a look at a music player. Because let's be honest, we don't just use apps in a nice, neat little bubble. We use them while we're doing a dozen other things, and that's exactly what our tester is about to simulate. So the tester starts a song, then immediately just starts skipping through tracks as fast as they can. In the middle of all that, they minimize the app to go check a message, and then they suddenly turn on airplane mode, cutting off the internet. It's just a total flurry of real-world actions. And the results is another crash. That combination of rapid actions, switching apps, and then a sudden loss of connection was just too much for the app to handle. This uncovers a deep stability issue that only shows up under the pressure of chaotic real-life use. So we've seen what it does, but the big question is, why is this random approach so incredibly effective? Well, there's a simple and really powerful principle at play here. Honestly, it's just like watching a little kid get a new electronic toy. They don't read the manual, right? They just start pressing every single button, sometimes two at once, just to see what happens. And in that process, they find functions and flaws that the designer never even thought of. So let's just break down these core ideas. First, there's no formal plan, which means it's fast and flexible. Testers can just chase down a hunch. Second, it relies on the tester's knowledge and intuition, which is really just a fancy way of saying they recognize patterns from past experience. They can kind of feel where the weak spots might be. And finally, its greatest strength is how it just smashes assumptions. By doing the unexpected, it finds bugs that only appear when the system is pushed into a state nobody ever planned for.
So when you boil it all down, the crucial point is this. Ad hoc testing isn't just about being random for the fun of it. It's a formal name for a very human skill: creativity, out-of-the-box thinking. It's all about looking at a system and asking, what if, instead of just, doesn't work.
And that leaves us with a final thought. This mindset, it doesn't just apply to software. What process or what system in your own life seems totally unbreakable? What might you discover if you just threw away the rulebook for a second and started pressing some random buttons?